Hello, everyone. Let me see. Hi. Share my screen. All right. Hello. Happy Friday, everybody. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. Before we do, I'd love to know who you are, where you're signing in from. So if you could share your name, where you're from, and one thing you're grateful for in the comment box, I would love to read it. Okay, cool. I see a comment, which is great because that means that you can hear me. Awesome. All right, we got Jen from Alaska. Hello. Mary from Indy, but living in North Carolina now. Welcome. Hey, Mary, good to see you again. Jen says she's grateful for family and friends. I love that. Mary is grateful that the hot water heater is getting swapped out right now. We don't have to spend a whole weekend without hot water. Ooh, yes, that is definitely something to be grateful for. We've got Ashina. Ashina is from Las Vegas, and she is so grateful for her excellent health. Hello. Yes, I am grateful for my health too. What a time to be especially grateful for that. We got Alex here from Crockett. Hey, Alex, good to see you. Brenda from Cincinnati, and Brenda is grateful for her nice, clean office. Ooh. Well, Brenda, if you want to come clean my office, I would so appreciate that. My desk is always a mess, so I'm in awe that you've got a nice, clean office because my desk is never clean. So kudos to you. Cool, cool, cool. All right, looks like we're rolling in. We got one more minute and then we'll get started. Anyone who's just popping in now, if you could just share where you're from, your name, and one thing you're grateful for. We've got Kyra from Brooklyn. I hope I said your name right, Kyra. Welcome. Alex says, you are glowing. I'm happy to start off my day with you. Oh, thanks, Alex. You're so kind. Brenda said it took me all of last weekend, the whole of last weekend to clean her office. I thought it might help me focus amidst all the craziness right now. Yes. I'm yes, we all are trying. I know I'm trying to find different ways to maintain my focus and zen and center. Um, I'm grateful for her health. We got Natalie from Beaumont, Texas. Hello. We got Amber from Oakland, and you're grateful for sunny days. Amber, if you're from Pink Light Botanicals, I think you are. That is awesome. I love your products and your location. I used to live on Piedmont Avenue, so welcome. We got Amanda from Brooklyn, New York. Grateful for supportive friends and family. Yes. We got Christina from Oakland. So grateful for my family. Yes, me too. And we've got Heather from Oakland. Happy to hear the birds. Yes, the birds are chirping, especially here in Oakland. So yes, indeed. All right. So we're right at 10 o'clock Pacific time. If you're on the East Coast, it's 1 o'clock your time. And I want to be mindful of your time and my time. We're going to be together for the next hour. I'm going to go through this information fairly quickly because I want to save time for questions. My intention is always to answer all the questions if possible. I do have a virtual yoga class at 11 Pacific time, so we will be ending right on the dot. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about elevating your money mindsets. We're going to go over scarcity versus abundant mindset. We're going to talk about the sneaky ways the scarcity mindset shows up and 3 habits to train an abundant mindset. A little bit about me. If this is your first time coming into one of my webinars, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. I am the creator of Money Mimosas. We have readers in over 50 countries. I was named a personal finance expert by the Wall Street Journal and Fast Company. And in 1 year, our community added an average of $10,000 in earnings and paid off $1,000 in debt. And it's all based on these principles that I share freely in these webinars. My intention is to give you the tools you need to elevate your self-worth and your net worth. And I hope that at least one of these gems of insights helps you do just that. That would make my day amazing and make me so, so happy. So today we're talking about money mindset. How does money mindset fit into your financial life? I find that it's easiest to paint this example by comparing finances to fitness. So if we look at our fitness, there are 3 areas in our fitness life that we focus on in order to reach a fitness goal, to achieve optimal health. And those 3 areas include exercise. We got to actually move our body, get sweaty, or, do yoga, whatever it is. We've got to look at our nutrition. I remember when I first started working with with a personal trainer to do weightlifting. I had never done weightlifting before, so I hired someone to help me figure out how to do it. And he told me, Danetha, you can reach your goals right now. If you want to really, though, reach your goals, you're going to have to switch up your nutrition. At the time, I was a vegetarian, and he suggested that I add more meat to my diet because I had some strength-related goals that I wanted to reach. So nutrition is a part of the fitness journey. And then we've got willpower, exercise and nutrition. If we can know all the information when it comes to those 2 areas, but if we don't do anything, then it's all for naught, right? And so our willpower is the thing that keeps us motivated, keeps us going. It's also the will to listen. So sometimes our bodies will say, hey, you know what? You've been going really hard in the gym. Let's take a few days off and just let everything relax and heal. And so those 3 areas make up our fitness life. Same thing applies to our financial life. So financial life, we've got our well-being. If you were here last week, we went into depth about what financial well-being is and how to elevate it. We've also got our mindset. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So this is the nutrition aspect of your financial life, actually feeding your mind with abundant thoughts so that you can reach your goals. Exercising does nothing really unless you've got the nutrition paired with it. So our well-being, the exercise portion of our financial life, the actions that we take will be in vain if we don't also feed our minds with abundant thoughts. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And then you've got your aura. So this is the willpower. Your aura is something that we'll talk about next week. And this is where we'll talk about having a radiant aura and moving away from having more of a dull aura. This is where you get into the feminine side of money, if you will, where you attract opportunities to you. Today we'll focus on mindset, and here are those 2 images just so you can get a clear image in your mind of where we're at in the chart for finances. We're focusing on mindset today, which is our nutrition, feeding ourselves beautiful, luxurious, abundant thoughts. Your money mindset, one of my favorite resources on the power of the minds is the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. If you haven't read it, already, definitely read it. If you have already read it, read it again. I actually keep it in my bathroom and I'll flip it open every morning, and whatever page it opens to, that's what I read. It's my one of my daily rituals. One of the quotes that really I feel captures the money mindset um, is this quote from the book: "When you begin to think and grow rich, you will observe that riches begin with a state of mind, with definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work." Let's let that sink in. When you begin to think and grow rich, you will observe that riches begin with a state of mind, with a definiteness of purpose, with little or no hard work. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And this is based on 25 years of research, studying 25,000 people. He studied the most brilliant minds when it comes to finances. So the Carnegies, Rockefellers, people that we've looked to throughout history um, for guidance on how to amass lots of wealth. And that quote really captures the essence of the book. So, how does your money mindset create your financial reality? Here's a graph, a little picture to help you kind of see how this works. So, from my perspective, it starts with your beliefs. So, if we look to the left hand side of this image, starts with your beliefs. And your beliefs feed into your thoughts, which is where we're going to spend time today. Those thoughts, we have some power over them, and they're really fueled by our beliefs. And our thoughts then drive our actions. Then our actions create our results, and those results either reinforce those beliefs, usually they reinforce them, or they detract from those beliefs. And then it's just a constant feedback loop. Your beliefs drive your thoughts drive your actions create your results reinforce your beliefs. And it goes around and around and around. And the challenge becomes when our belief system and our thought system isn't serving our highest good, our highest potential. We're talking about money in this webinar, and all of my work relates to money. And when our belief system and our thought system comes from a scarcity place or a impoverished place or a poverty mindset place, it unfortunately then detracts from our actions. We don't feel excited to take action. We don't feel that we have the ability to take action. Our self-esteem is dampened. And so we tend to not move forward with ideas. We procrastinate. And so those actions, those lack of actions then produce a lack of results. And those lack of results then reinforce the belief that, I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or life is supposed to be hard. And those are the thoughts that we hear over and over and over again. Beliefs are just thoughts that you continue to think over and over again until you believe it to be true. And then that feedback loop just continues and continues. Today, we're going to enter that feedback loop through the thoughts. So you can enter and shift your feedback loop through one of those three areas: your beliefs, your thoughts, or your actions. The actions we talked about last week with well-being, that's usually the easiest place because a lot of us can jump into action right away. It's something tangible. Our thoughts are a little bit more ethereal, they're a little bit more out there, and then our beliefs are in another realm of consciousness completely. And so we're going to enter this feedback loop through the thoughts today and try to shift that feedback loop to be more abundant. And this, I feel, is a lifelong journey. This is my life's work. I absolutely love talking about all these elements of money. And every day I try to challenge myself to find where I'm coming from a scarcity place or an impoverished place. Just because I do a lot of this reading and talk about it doesn't mean that I'm immune to this either. And so I believe we all are on this lifelong journey of continuing to elevate. That's the beauty of life. We're always given opportunities to elevate our experience. So today we're going to focus on elevating our thoughts. Fundamentally, you create what you think is possible. You're only limited by what you think is possible. And if you see smoke around me, it's because I've got incense I see that it's really covering my face now. Um, Fundamentally, you create what you think is possible. And I want to share some examples of people who are beautiful guiding lights for all of us to realize that we are only limited by what we believe to be possible for ourselves and what we think to be possible for ourselves. So Melody Hobson is a woman that grew up in the South Side of Chicago. And I consider her story to be like a Cinderella fairy tale story. The Cinderella story, not where the prince comes and rescues her. The Cinderella story where the princess rescues herself. And so Melody Hobson grew in the South Side of Chicago with a single mom. I believe she had 6 or 7 siblings, and her mom worked in real estate. And you can imagine, if any of you are parents, you know how tough it is raising children, and then couple that with being a single parent, then triple that with 6 or 7 children. It was really, really tough, financially tough for their family. And there would be times when the lights would be turned off because she couldn't pay the bills. There wouldn't be a ton of food in the fridge because times were lean occasionally. But one thing her mom always told her from a young age was that you can be and do anything. You can be and do anything. And Melody took that with her throughout her life. And in junior high, she came across a book about finances and realized, I'm going to make so much money that I never have to worry about it again. And she had that thought, that saying in her from her mom, repeating in her mind that you can be and do anything despite the external reality of living in a really rough area without a lot of resources. Because she had that thought, Melody pursued opportunities where she could learn more about finances. Fast forward to today, Melody is now the president of Ariel Investments, which is the largest African American mutual fund holding company, and she manages $13 billion in assets. And this is from a little girl who grew up in the South Side of Chicago to one of the powerhouses in the financial space, all based on that belief that her mom instilled in her thinking process. Grace. Grace is another guiding light for all of us. Grace is a former client of mine, and we stay in touch. She grew up in rural Wisconsin, in a middle class, that's all relative, but she didn't ever really want for anything growing up. But growing up in rural Wisconsin, she wasn't exposed to a lot of opportunities and possibilities for her life. She picked up a camera at a really young age and realized, oh my gosh, I want to be a photographer. But there was no one around that was making a living doing photography. And she had to develop her own belief and thought systems around, yes, I can be a photographer. Not only can I be a photographer, I can make a living doing this. And then not only can I make a living doing this, I can run a full business and hire people, all based around something that I love. And that's Grace in the photo. She came to me when she was growing her family. At the time, she had one child, one daughter, I believe, and 2 children. No, she had 2 daughters. And she and her husband wanted to grow the business so that they could spend more time with the family as opposed to being so hands-on with the business. They created Summerana, which is named after their 2 daughters. And Summerana allowed Grace to step back from being the photographer. So always being on set, delivering the services, which she loves, but there's a limit to how much she can earn doing that. So she created a digital platform where she sells photography filters and teaches other photographers how to grow their business, and also teaches them the technical side of photography. And that's now a 7-figure business. They have 2 full-time employees, and it's completely virtual. So she can still live in rural Wisconsin and not have to go into the big city all the time, because now she can spend time with her family and run her business from their computers. Amanda is an HR executive from Indiana. We featured her on Money Mimosas last year, and she had the dream of being able to pay off her master's without taking on any loans. And she wanted to do that without, though, having to work herself to the ground. She was already working full time at a company, and she wanted to be able to make more money without sacrificing her social time. So she, with that thought, she decided definiteness of purpose, as Napoleon Hill said, she decided that she was going to find an opportunity where she could make extra money on the side and not give up the other things that she loves in life. And so she found an opportunity to teach English to students in China. And she works an additional 7 to 10 hours a week and makes $1,200 to $1,500 extra per month. And she was able to pay off her master's without giving up her social time. And she found that she really actually loved teaching English. And so she continues to do that, even though she's paid off her master's. And as I go through this, I will definitely answer questions. I'll wait to the end. So as you have questions, please type them into the chat box and I will get to them once I'm through with the presentation. So fundamentally, your possibilities are only limited by your beliefs and your thoughts. I want to say that again. Your possibilities are only limited by your beliefs and your thoughts. I imagine that even sitting here today, you are living completely a life or parts of your life that you didn't believe were possible 5, 10, 15 years ago. And so you're already a living example of this. And just imagine a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, the things that you thought were impossible today are going to be actually your reality a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And so for you, for me, for all of us, our possibilities are only limited by our beliefs and our thoughts. And we're all going through this collective experience with COVID-19, and it is incredibly devastating on a lot of levels. On one level as well is opening up our mind to the fact that what we thought was reality is actually all been created. A lot of the systems and structures that we were taken as given, we're realizing, oh, we can change this. This doesn't have to be the way things are. We just have to think creatively. And so we're in a time that's ripe for creativity and us all opening up to new possibilities and new ways of thinking. With every decision, you are operating from a scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset. There's no light switch where all of a sudden you're always going to be operating from an abundant mindset. It's going to be incremental changes. At times there can be exponential shifts, and then there's still going to be slight incremental changes. And every moment is a moment to choose operating from a scarcity mindset or operating from an abundant mindset. So a scarcity mindset, what does that look like? A scarcity mindset focuses on pinching pennies. A woman, a financial professional colleague of mine, she's a tax accountant. She said it's being penny wise but pound foolish. So scarcity mindset focuses on pinching pennies. This mindset also practices frugality. They kind of wear it like a badge of honor, being frugal with their finances. And ultimately, it boils down to the fundamental belief that there is not enough to go around. Versus an abundant mindset. The abundant mindset, as opposed to focusing on pinching pennies, your focus is on creating wealth. You're focused on finding ways of making more money, either by yourself or with others, but you're always looking for opportunities to create wealth, create opportunities. You, from this mindset, you'll practice mindfulness as opposed to practicing frugality. So we want to practice mindfulness. We don't want to spend willy nilly. A lot of times, I'll get that feedback of, well, are you saying to that when you say don't practice frugality, you mean just spend anytime you get the whim? No, we're not practicing whimsical spending. We're practicing mindful spending. We're practicing mindful saving. We're practicing mindful investing. And the fundamental belief when it comes to an abundant mindset is that there is more where that came from. There is more where that came from. We don't believe that there's a limit on life, a limit on money. We believe that there's always more where that came from. An abundant mindset believes that there is no limit on money, just as there is no limit on creativity, love, and joy. As much as you can create, that's as much as you'll be able to make money. And there's no limit on creativity. So you can make as much money as you'd like. Love and money, creativity, and joy, they are all in that same realm. And so an abundant mindset believes that there is no limit on any of those. Every day, our abundant mindset is challenged. And this is where protecting your energy, protecting your thoughts is of the utmost importance, always. And especially during this time, if there's anything about the season, this collective experience that we're in right now with COVID-19, it's the thing that's giving me most pause is the slide into a scarcity mindset. And so every day we have to be mindful of what we're feeding our thoughts and what we're allowing our eyes to take in, because it impacts how we think and feel. So whenever we look at a lot of articles or news about money, there's a lot of fear that's attached to it, a lot of scarcity. And you'll start to notice this. You'll be more in tune after listening through this webinar of how much fear is placed into the financial system and how people share information about finances. So this article on CNN, 3 reasons to fear America's massive $70 trillion debt pile. 3 reasons to fear. Is that something to be fearful of? Or can we look at that in a more positive light and see, wow, we had access to $70 trillion to create opportunities. Instead, this article chose to take the fear route. We should all be concerned about the student debt crisis. We should be aware of how the student debt system has hampered so many people from living their potential. But to use words like crisis immediately creates this fear, feeling of lack in our bodies, and feeling and thoughts around money that suggest that there's not enough to go around. This is a recent article about the unemployment claims that are being filed related to COVID-19. So a 3,000% jump in jobless claims has devastated the US job market. Now, when I say, we want to protect our thoughts and our abundant mindset, this doesn't mean that we are not aware of what's happening. I am definitely aware that 6.6 million unemployment claims were filed last week, which was double the week before and tenfold from the week prior to that. It's not about being unaware. It's just about being mindful of the words that are being used and ensuring that we're not allowing this information to shift us into a scarcity mindset. Just want to make that clear. It's not about not being aware and not being in touch with the pain that is happening. It's also about being mindful about how it's impacting your approach to your finances. Okay, healthcare is bipartisan problem. The sick are expensive and someone has to pay. Just take a moment to look at that title. The sick are expensive. How about we take care of our community's health and elevating people's well-being actually has a positive return for everyone. And we could have, this journalist could have really had a great opportunity to make a great claim and a great stance on why elevating everyone's well-being is actually a positive investment. And if we want to just talk numbers, a positive ROI. But instead, they took the route of saying the sick are expensive and someone has to pay, as if, one person, as if taking care of other people and creating a system where everyone is cared for means that it's at the detriment to someone else's finances, instead of it being a way of lifting all boats. So that's how our abundant mindset is attacked every single day. And that's the collective system. As individuals, we play a role in this collective scarcity experience. As I mentioned earlier, every moment we have the choice of operating from a scarcity mindset or an abundant mindset. We will be challenged, we will be tested, and we can make that choice time and time again to not play into the collective scarcity experience, instead being a light and creating abundance. So how can a scarcity mindset sneakily show up in your life? All right, bear with me. Some of you may be prickling when I go through some of these notes. So take it in, just breathe with me. So using different email addresses to get a free service. Now, I'm going to be the first one to say that I've definitely done this. I am not preaching from the pulpit. A lot of these are because I've done it too. And so I know if I do it, other people must do it too. So if we like a service, try it out for free, get the trial period, do it maybe a couple of times with 2 different email addresses, but let's practice actually spending our money on things that we enjoy, that actually bring us joy. And going around using different email addresses to get a free service is just, it's a sneaky way of that scarcity mindset, believing that we don't have enough money to actually spend on the service that we clearly like because we keep signing up for it. All right, complaining about how expensive things are. For my fellow Bay Area folks, if it's not you, I'm sure you've got a friend that definitely slides into this, talking about how expensive the housing is. And yes, again, we are aware of the cost that it takes to live here. At the same time, placing our focus and energy on that as opposed to creating wealth is how the scarcity mindset sneaks in. It's a distraction. It takes us away from creating wealth. So instead of saying that, instead say, I am choosing not to buy this. So if something's, expensive and you don't want to spend your money on it, fine. Just say, I am choosing not to buy this, instead of saying, oh, that's too expensive. Or if you do decide to buy it, say you live in the Bay Area and you do realize that there is a price to pay to be here, say, I am grateful for this luxury experience. I am grateful to live in this condo, and I'm grateful for the luxury that it brings me. Another way it sneaks in is focusing on the debt you have. So this is focusing on the credit card debt, the student loan debt, as opposed to focusing on how you can create money. I was talking to a woman who has student loan debt from her law school. So she's an attorney. And she just decided to put 10 grand towards paying off her student loan debt. And it was clear to me after she said that she decided to do that because she is so focused on paying down that debt, as opposed to focusing on the business that she just started. I mean, that 10 grand could have gone so far if she had put that in her business. She could have put just $1,000 of that into her business, and that return would have reaped so many rewards far greater than her paying down her student loan debt and doing that from a place of scarcity and fear. So instead of focusing on the debt you have, instead focus on the wealth you can create. Don't turn a blind eye to the debt. Don't sweep it under the rug and forget that it's there. But instead, let's shift that focus to the wealth you can create. All right, we tend to see situations as either or. So this is one that you'll have to check in with yourself. A lot of these are there's nuances to everything in life, and so for each of these, you'll have to just tune into yourself, check in, and be mindful of how this may show up as a scarcity mindset for you. So tend to see situations as either or. This can be a situation where you're negotiating with somebody, and instead of being willing to compromise, you say, I'm either going to take it this way or not do it at all, as opposed to focusing on both and asking, how can I make this work? This can also show up in this season when a lot of us are reimagining what's possible for ourselves and thinking through, like, how do I need to shift my business in order to make ends meet and then to thrive? That scarcity mindset will sneak in and say, oh, you can't do that. There's no way that you can expand to an e-commerce site, or there's no way that people are going to buy that product in a digital form. They only want the in-person experience. Instead of coming from that place of either or, ask yourself, how can I make this work? How can I make this idea work? Saying, I can't afford that. Instead, ask, how can I afford this? If it's something that you ultimately don't really want or need, then don't buy it. But if it's something that you really do want, how can I afford this? I'll share a personal example. Before, when we were able to go out and about, I spent a lot. I don't want to say I spent a lot. I would spend a good amount of money on Lyft. Now that's all relative how much that is. But one month I looked at my Lyft rides and saw I had spent over $500 on Lyft. Now I don't drive. I bike, I take BARTs, and I use Lyft. But I immediately thought, oh my gosh, Danetha, you spent way too much money on Lyft. Like, what are you doing? And then I took a deep breath and said, okay, Danetha, let's look at this. When did you spend on Lyft and what was it for? And I realized as I went through each time I spent money on Lyft, it was for my business. I was going to a networking event or I was meeting someone to chat about business. And I realized that each time I spent money on Lyft, it was actually investing in something that I care about. I care about my work. And it was also investing in my self-care, because when I take Lyft, I'm able to, get princess treatment. Someone picks me up. I get dropped off right in front of the location. I'm able to wear a dress, otherwise I'm biking. And so I can't wear a dress when I'm biking. And so all of those things made me feel good. And so instead of saying, Danetha, you got to cut your Lyft spending by however much, instead I asked myself, okay, how could I afford this each and every month so that I can still feel good about all the things that I want to do? And so instead of focusing on cutting back on that expense, I focused on how can I create more money so that I can easily afford these Lyft rides. All right, this is a common one, saying that you are saving for a rainy day. I've certainly said this in the past, and then I realized, oh my gosh, by saying that, words are power. When I say I am saving for a rainy day, that means that a rainy day is going to come. I'll let that sink in. When you say you're saving for a rainy day, that means that the rainy day is going to come. Instead, say, I'm saving for a sunny opportunity. And that sunny opportunity will show up. Now, that doesn't mean that tough, challenging times won't appear. However, the experience that you have during that challenging season will be much different with the power that you've put into the money behind it, because you have said, I'm saving for a sunny opportunity. I'll give you a clear example. So I was talking to a CPA friend about this, and she said that one of the things that she's going to be telling her community is that it's really important to save for a rainy day because look at the situation we're in. We're in a rainy day. And I asked her, I said, well, is that the message that you want to share with your community? You know, this idea of fear and creating a savings account for another bad situation. And she thought about it. She's like, you know what, you're right. What the difference is, you know, this collective experience that we're going through with the pandemic would have happened regardless of if you had said, I'm saving for a rainy day or saving for a sunny opportunity. However, for some members in her community, some of them are using their savings to hoard toilet paper, to hoard groceries, buy groceries with the savings that they've used instead of, you know, there are some people that are hiring for their businesses right now. There are some people that are in a position where they are able to create opportunities out of this experience. And that's the difference. Whether you're focused on a saving for a rainy day, you'll create a situation where then once that challenging time comes, you'll be focused on how can I restrict? How can I, you know, hoard as opposed to, okay, I'm in this situation, I've got savings, how can I expand? How can I elevate? That's the difference. Okay, making financial decisions based on that's just how it is. Oh, everyone in my family had this experience with life. It was always hard for us. Making money is hard. Or on a lighter side, everyone says that buying a house is the best investment. So I guess I'm just going to buy a house. Well, that is living life by default. And so instead of making financial decisions just based on that's just how it's always been, instead choose your experiences. You can design and create your financial life and experiences. One of the things that me and my fiance have decided is that we won't own our primary residence. I'll never say never, but 99% sure that will not happen because we'd rather focus on buying properties that we don't live in that can be more of a cash flow for us and focusing on other things with our money. Owning our primary residence doesn't feel like freedom to us. Now for someone else, a lot of our friends, that is freedom for them. So yes, choose that, but choose it consciously and choose it mindfully. Also, hoarding resources and financial information. So, I mean, we can see this with uh, toilet paper, yeast. You know, I've been trying to make bread this whole time, and there's been no yeast in the grocery store. So, you know, hoarding resources, hoarding financial information. So, thinking that sharing information, there's a lot of people, especially in the financial space, that won't share information because they feel that if it's out there with too many people, then they can't make money, which is such a backwards way of thinking. And so, unfortunately, a lot of this exists. The hoarding resources and financial information actually really exists in the financial industry. I imagine many of you already freely share information and resources with others. And so, hopefully, more people will adopt that mindset because it is hoarding is a reflection of a scarcity mindset. So instead, share freely because you believe that there's more where that came from. The more you share, the more you receive, the more everyone's doing well. And when everyone's doing well, you benefit as well. It's a beautiful, harmonious situation. And then always thinking the worst of the financial system. This is the last point that I'll bring up, at least in terms of how the scarcity mindset sneakily slides in. And so when I say thinking the worst of the financial system, always thinking that, particularly since we live in a capitalist society, this is a mindset or a thought that I often hear that, oh, it's the capitalist system that's the problem. This is the problem when it comes to lack of universal health care, my inability to expand and grow financially. Yes, there are elements of the financial system, the capitalist financial system especially, that has created massive injustice and massive inequities. At the same time, placing all of our focus there in turn harms us, in turn harms you. If you're always placing your focus there on being distrustful of the system, it takes away from you being able to focus on the silver lining. So I encourage you to continue to be alert. Definitely pay attention to how the current economic system does harm people, has created massive inequities for centuries. Definitely stay alert to that. And practice finding the silver lining in that. One thing I'll give to you is that the capitalist system is the only economic system to date. I do believe we shifted into another system that will be for another talk. It's the karma economic system that we've now shifted into. But for the capitalist system, so far, that's been the only one that's rewarded creativity. Imagine everything that you can create, you can make money from. Now, there are structures and systems in place that have limited creators within our society from truly being able to make the most out of that. At the same time, let's focus on the silver lining, especially when we're trying to retrain our mind from scarcity to abundance. And so the impacts of a scarcity mindset: getting a raise, but you'll soon have nothing to show for it, lack of vitality, lack of career fulfillment, feeling behind in life. And I'm going to go through these last points pretty quickly because I want to make sure I leave time for questions. The benefits of an abundant mindset: more money, more joy, more vitality, peace and prosperity in your life and in others. We can only collectively experience peace and prosperity if each of us has found that for ourselves. It starts with self, expands to all. All right, so 3 habits you can start today to elevate your money mindset. Action is where we see results, right? And so you've got all this information, you've hopefully been inspired. Now we're going to take action. So first step, spend $10,000 every day. And you're probably like, oh my gosh, Danetha, you have lost your mind. I may have. And when I say spend $10,000, I don't literally mean spend $10,000 unless you've got it like that. Great, kudos. The economy definitely needs you spending. So if you've got it, please spend. But what I mean is spend it in your imagination. Write down, if you had $10,000 to spend today, you had to spend it all, every last penny, what would you spend it on? And the caveat is that you can't spend it on paying down your debt. So these are things like, and let's also pretend that we can travel. Right now, none of us can travel, but pretend that you can travel, pretend that you can go to the spa, pretend that you can, do whatever you want. So spend $10,000 every day. This is one of my favorite exercises to do. And what that does is it trains your mind to find money-making opportunities and see new possibilities. When you do this, when I first did this, I researched all the things that I could spend money on because I'm like, I got stuck at one point. I didn't know what else I could spend money on. And then as I researched, I realized, oh, there's lots of things out there that I would love to experience or love to have. And so it trains your mind to see new possibilities. And then you match your vibration to that. You want to make more money in order to be able to experience those possibilities. All right, practice childlike imagination. This is where you want to tap into your third eye chakra, or for my more sciencey folks, the pineal glands rather. So your third eye chakra right here, that is your connection to your intuition. That's your connection to the universal mind. You're able to tap into ideas that are beyond your limited experiences and limited understanding of what's possible. We all are limited. We all have finite minds. But once we open up this third eye chakra, we expand it to be able to tap into folks that are no longer here on this planet. They've passed on. Folks that haven't come yet. They aren't born yet. And of course, folks that are here right now. We tap into that universal mind. This is where you get hunches and inspirations out of seemingly nowhere. Open this up. Open up your pineal glands. You can do this by surrounding yourself with the color purple. Surrounding yourself with the color purple is a big one. And then also creativity. So drawing anything that feels like it's allowing your imagination to flow freely. Yeah, definitely focus on that. And then recite daily money mantras. If you follow me on Instagram, I post one every Sunday through Thursday evening. And some of them I've shared, money is the root of all miracles. This is the opposite of what some of us may have heard, that money is the root of all evil, or the love of money is the root of all evil. Instead, flip that on its head and say money is the root of all miracles. Tell yourself, I always have more money flowing in than going out. If you want more money mantras like that, follow me on Instagram. And then for a bonus, practicing abundance here and sharing as much information as I can. Surround yourself with luxury, and luxury can be at home. It can be enjoying every bite of a strawberry. It can be enjoying every bite of a blueberry, having flowers in your home, practicing, I say goddess rituals, skincare, luxurious skincare practices at home. All of that brings a sense of luxury, and it elevates your vibration in order to attract more possibilities and inspiration. All right, so that is elevating your money mindset. I hope this was helpful. For more tips, you can always visit moneymimosas.com. And now I'm going to take questions. Let's see, I've got a few here. Let me stop sharing my screen so I can see the questions. All right. Where's my chat? Bear with me as I figure out my chat box. All right, there we go. Okay, Catherine says, yes, loving and being grateful for abundance is so important. Someone suggested me to say, thank you more, please. Anytime you give, spend money, or receive more abundance. Ooh, thanks for that, Catherine. I'm adding that to my personal list, and for everyone else, I love that. Say thank you more, please. All right. Yvonne asks, how do you work with someone that does not believe mindset affects their results? One of my friends is such a realist, and it is oftentimes super hard to shift her mindset regarding anything money related. How do you show people that a mindset shift will work if they are skeptical about it? This is a great question, Yvonne. It's something that I am, full disclosure, always working through, because I see scarcity mindset everywhere. And especially it's tough when people are close to you, to help them see the light, if you will. What I've found for myself is that part of the work with this is releasing expectations and releasing control of other people and being a living example. They will start to see, just by the way you live your life, that it's possible. And for your own sake, though, practice releasing expectations and control of the other person, because that's only distracting you from creating your own abundance by focusing on their lack. So as best as you can, I know how tough that can be, but practice releasing expectations of that other person. Sandy asked, what link do I use to share with my friends? Oh, if you could share moneymimosas.com, that's where all my social media links are. You can share that with your friends. T says, oh, I love this, T. She says, instead of calling it an emergency fund, call it a freedom fund. Yes, I love that. So good. Great. I love that so much. I'm going to include that in the follow-up email with some resources for you all. Okay, T also asked, what are a couple online high yield savings accounts you like and trust with checking writing ability and quick access? Ooh, good question, T. I will say, I don't know about check writing ability, but my favorite has always been Ally, Ally Savings Account. I've been with them maybe like 5 years now, and they typically have one of the higher interest rates on their high yield savings accounts. I don't know if they offer check writing ability, but I definitely love them. I definitely trust them. In this experience with the COVID-19, they immediately sent out an email to anyone who has an account with them and said, if you need 120 days, we're giving everyone 120 days to pay any bills that you have with us. So they were proactive in making sure their people were taken care of. So I've always loved them. I would check them out if you haven't already. Jen asks, are there any resources for teens re-money mindset? Is there a question quiz to assess my mindset? Thank you. Ooh, that is a good question about teens. I honestly don't know of one for teens. I will say though, I imagine, Jen, you have a teenager, so you would be a good judge of the material that was just shared with you if you feel like it's age appropriate for teens. I feel like when I do connect with teenagers, I go into high schools and talk to the students. I am always blown away by how much they can absorb. Like I'm pleasantly surprised that I mean, their capacity to process and understand is at adult level when it comes to these types of topics. So let me know if you feel like this would be a good age appropriate thing, because then I can, um, yeah, this could be a resource for teens. As far as a question quiz, there is not. We used to have one on moneymimosas.com, and we are updating it with more information so that's more holistic. So I'll let you know once that's live again so that you can assess your money mindset. All right. T asks, I'm in between jobs right now. Do you recommend I transfer my dormant 401k from an old employer to a Roth IRA? It's not being well managed right now. Great questions. Great question. Definitely time to reassess all our investments. I would say let's not make any rash decisions, just generally speaking, when we do this. However, if you feel like your 401k isn't, it goes back to being a conscious investor. So if you feel like the options in your 401k where your money is being invested doesn't match your values, then yes, now's the time to reassess how your money is being used in the market and transferring it to an account that you feel best represents your values. Heather asks, hi Danetha, I have so many tools for creating, boosting, and sustaining an abundant mindset, affirmations, books, gratitude journal, etc. Have I used them lately? No. Any advice for getting us off our rear and actually using the tools consistently? Guess that would be a willpower habit thing. Thank you. Heather, you are ahead of the game. You already know. Yes, that's the willpower piece. So that will be next week, the aura conversation, elevating your money aura. This is because I think I know a little bit about your work and that you're open to like the feminine side of money. This is where we really talk about opening ourselves up to receiving. We talk about surrender, hope, possibility. And while that may seem counterintuitive, like it may sound like, oh, that just means you sit back and don't do anything. No, it actually means it strengthens our resolve and our conviction, and we easily are able to sustain some of those habits that we have in place or that we had said that we want to do, and really helps us get that fire under us to make things happen. So yes, that will be next week, next Friday, same time. And okay, Andre said that's what I need. Yes. Um, let's see other questions. Oh, yes. Heather also suggests looking at credit unions. They also have good rates. Yes. Love that point. Absolutely. Credit union is amazing. If you live in the Bay Area, I'm a huge fan of Patelco Credit Union. I'll type it in the notes right now. Patelco Credit Union. Check out their money market account. It's got the best interest rate I have seen ever. And their commitment to community is beyond anything I've ever seen from a bank before, and they're a credit union. Oh, T, to answer your question, Ally Savings. It's ALLY. I just typed it in the notes. Christina asks, this is great, thanks. Is it possible to get access to the content from your webinar last week as well? So the content from last week is in the Moneymakers Circle group, which you will get that email after this. All of these webinars are in that group. It's only $20 per month for that. It's free to if you come live, and then if you want the recording, it's in that group. So I will send that link after. And then Catherine says, I use Wealthfront for savings account. They change their interest rates based on the Fed rate, but it's usually higher than the national average. They are adding check transfer ability soon. Great. Everyone, that's another option, Wealthfront. Thanks for sharing, Catherine. Beautiful. T says, Danetha, you're so awesome. Thank you for making yourself available to us. Be safe and healthy, please. The world needs your energy and generosity. Thank you, T. I received that. Thank you. Brenda says, was this a 3-part series? If so, I missed the first week. It is a 3-part series. You can attend next Friday. That will be part 3. Part 1 is in the Moneymakers Circle group, which I will share a link to that in the follow-up email with more resources. These resources will include if you want to open up your third eye chakra, I'll have links to how to do that as well. All right, Andre says, I currently got an undisclosed amount of money from a passing in my family. Dave Ramsey recommends paying off my debt now, but I also feel like now is a great time to invest. What are your thoughts here? Great question, Andre. I love Dave Ramsey. We do differ on some of our fundamental principles, and this is one of them. And so I do differ in that I don't believe that paying off debt is usually a priority. Most times it's not a priority. I believe that the focus needs to be on creating wealth. So without knowing your personal situation, I would recommend using maybe a portion of it to pay off debt, and then the other portion to focus on creating wealth for your current self and then for your future self. Those are my thoughts. Kiana asked, did I get her questions? Ooh, I don't think so, Kiana. I'm sorry. Can you? Oh no, Kiana, I see it right here. I'm sorry. I see it now. Kiana asks, I have a closed credit card. Should I use my stimulus check to pay it and debt not serving me? Can you give suggestions on how to use it? Okay, so high level with the stimulus check that many people are getting, I imagine you're referring to the $1,200 check. The purpose of that is to stimulate the economy. The way that we do that is by spending in the economy. So I would recommend using a portion of it to reinvest in the economy. So local small businesses, you'll have to determine what makes most sense for you. But then also you can use a portion of it to pay off the credit card. Before you pay it all off though, or negotiate with them. Since it's a closed credit card, you're now in a position where you can negotiate a lot. So negotiate a lot. I mean, you could probably only pay 20% of whatever you owe. I don't know the numbers on that, but negotiate with them. You're in a really great position to do that. Kiana says, to piggyback on that, I thought about sharing a few recurring bills for a few months during pandemic. I'm not sure if I understand that question, Kiana. And then T asks, what do you think of acorns? I think Acorns is a great introduction to investing. So definitely check it out. I love the fact that they round up your spending to invest in something. It really helps you get into a habit of investing. So definitely a great place to start with investing. And then Jen says, I think what you presented would be good for teens. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for that feedback. Great. Well, yay. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I'm going to hop off now and head into yoga and get centered in my body. So I thank you so much for your presence and your willingness to open up your minds, because it's going to take all of us to create a new earth. And so I appreciate you being a part of this discussion today. And I'll see you next Friday. Look out for an email from me with resources, and I'll see you soon. Bye.